Ohio gozaimasu. Oh. I'm Garrett Quayle, and we always start Shakespeare therapy, herbal healing with the O sound because there's so many O's in Shakespeare, and that making that sound, it activates your chest and your breathing and your brain, and so it connects the vagus nerve, the head and the heart, the head and the body. And breathing in also cleanses the organs and just kind of gets you firing on all cylinders. And then I bring in also an herb because we're talking about herbs that heal, all kinds of things that heal with Hannah Sylvester, the district herbalist. And this is spearmint. And spearmint, I even have, can you see little tiny shoots coming up? I'm so proud as a New Yorker with no garden and just a very hot windowsill in the summer, that I'm actually growing something. So I'm just going to take that off. Anyway, I'll take it off later. And also because Sumie Hasegawa, the illustrator of Botanical Shakespeare, and this is my well-loved, well-used copy. And so there's a nicer one behind me. And I hope somebody else has a well-loved, well-used copy. We have a thing on the website called 50 Ways to Use This Book because somebody made the mistake of saying to me, this is a coffee table book. And I said, So anyway, today we're going to be talking with Hannah about Burnet. And that is a salad herb, usually talked about salad herb. It's only mentioned one time in Shakespeare, in Henry V, the Duke of Burgundy, at the end when the war is over and Henry and Catherine have had their wooing scene, which is very charming and funny. If you look at, well, there's a couple different versions, but the one with Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson is very sweet and charming. And the Hollow Crown series. I'm sorry, I'm not going into film reviews here, but anyway, so that's where the line of the week comes from. And the reason I do the line of the week is to get the brain sharp and functioning. If you memorize one line a week. Now, I used to be in a group called the Shakespeare Workout, who the book is partially dedicated to, that you had to memorize 4 to 14 lines per week. And it is great for the memory. And I have a really good friend who's 89 who that discipline has kept his brain so sharp. So there's all these supplements for sale, memory supplements on Instagram and Facebook, and I see them all over the place. Or you can get some Shakespeare in your mouth, in your head, in your body. That's what the O is for, because you have to take a big breath to let out a long O sound. And I chose a line from the Duke of Burgundy's speech, which I call the Shakespeare's eco-stem speech, because he's talking about stopping war and starting to plant and grow things again, and not having the children be at war, but instead learning the sciences that should become our country. He actually says that line, which is fantastic. But anyway, the one that I chose has the word deracinate in it, because it's one of those great mouthfeel words, right? So the line is, and I'm doing a little excerpt here, the coulter rusts that should deracinate such savagery. And he's talking about all these hemlock and briars and burrs and everything that are growing in the fields, instead of the even mead that erst brought sweetly forth the freckled cowslip, burnet, and green clover. And that's a little harbinger of things to come, the green clover. But anyway, the coulter is like a harvesting, like a mower kind of thing. And so the coulter rusts that should deracinate such savagery. The even mead that erst, which means before, erstwhile, brought sweetly forth the freckled cowslip, burnet, and green clover. Now, the freckled cowslip is mentioned in Midsummer Night's Dream because of these little dots of ruby that are in the middle of the cowslip, which just shows you how closely Shakespeare was paying attention to the little flowers blooming all over the place. Anyway, we're going to bring on Hannah Sylvester, the district herbalist. She's in Lincoln, Lincolnshire. I'm in New York, New York. And there she is. And she's going to talk to us about Burnet or Burnet? What do you say?
Tomato.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it matters.
All
I
right.
mean, the one that you've got in your book is is Burnet, and that looks like greater Burnet. So it's all part of the Sanguisorbia genus. So that looks like So that looks like what is kind of known as Sanguisorbia major. The one of the sort of which grows. It's an interesting plant because it likes to grow on sort of chalky soil. But it doesn't really sort of have very much sort of history in terms of sort of food uses. So for food, what I'm going to do is kind of talk about the food uses of salad burnet, which is Sanguisorbia minor rather than Sanguisorbia major. They look kind of similar, but the leaf shape is ever so slightly different. But you still got that lovely sort of, that lovely pinky, purpley, reddy flower, which is just delightful. So I mean, here in Lincolnshire, we don't have any burnet growing because we've got really very, very clay soil for most of the county. So it's something certainly here that, if you're going to grow it, you've got to grow it in your garden with some, additions to your soil, or, you can grow it in a pot and, have some sort of slightly sort of more chalky substances in your pot.
I wonder if that means that France has chalky soil as opposed to England. We'll have to ask a garden expert or a French garden expert, maybe. Okay. All right.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Napoleon was said to have enjoyed salad burnet. He wrote that he enjoyed it in a salad with various different salad leaves. So,
okay. Well, there you go. So it must have chalky soil over there for Napoleon. That's great.
So, I mean, with salad burnet in particular, one of the really lovely features about it is that because with burnet, it's usually the leaves that are used, and it's one of those herbs that fits in really well with your crush and sniff.
Oh God, must find some.
When you crush and sniff it, it smells like cucumber.
Oh wow, that's so cool. Literally, cucumber is cooling. But the flowers, so the flowers or those little beautiful purpley buds don't get used?
Doesn't look like it. I mean, it's not to say you perhaps couldn't try it, but certainly all the historical notations of it are all the leaves that are used. So I'm guessing most of those sort of beneficial constituents and more of that sort of cucumbery smell are based in the leaves, really. So it's kind of, you see it used for things like, I mean, obviously it's called salad burnet, so it's mainly grown as a salad leaf.
Yeah.
So it's ever so slightly bitter, like a lot of the really good salad leaves are. And, you'll see it listed for things like as a drinks garnish and things like that, because it fits in with the bitterness of some alcoholic drinks, but then you've got that really lovely leaf as well that's quite distinctive, really.
Well, that means it would be excellent in a Bloody Mary.
Indeed.
Which is historical. It's like Queen Elizabeth's older sister. So, and that's what that drink is named about. So there you go.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I mean, as well as Napoleon, it was another herb that Culpeper wrote about. And I've written down a little quote from him. He said that it is a most precious herb. The continued use of it preserves body and health and spirit and vigor.
Body and health and spirit and vigor. So, oh my God, eat more Burnet.
But my theory on that is the bitterness. So in modern day human life, we don't eat nowhere near enough bitter foods. Well, there is so much digestive health problems in the world that we don't really have enough bitters in our diet. So he was probably onto something back then.
Yes. No, I was just reading about that we really need to up that element of our food intake. That's true. And didn't you mention to me at some point something about Francis Bacon?
Yeah, Francis Bacon wrote about it in relation to its kind of to its merits within part of the herb garden. So he wrote that, and I quote, it should be planted in herb gardens with wild thyme and watermint to perfume the air most delightfully, being trodden on and crushed.
Trodden on and crushed. That's like that chamomile line, and basically like our crush and sniff practice. Because if you just smush any of these things, it gets their essential oils and releases their fantastic scent. So a little bank of wild thyme, burnet, and water mints would smell wonderful. Yeah, you feel bad sort of walking all over it though, sort of trodden on it. But no, that's great. Oh, Francis Bacon also designed the garden for the Inner Temple, and that area of London is still there and has a statue to him. So if we ever do a walking tour, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that would be fun. That would be a fun thing to do. But also the flower is so pretty that you could just put it in bouquets or posies or a little centerpiece or something, and that would be lovely. I have not seen it over here, although I have seen it listed as salad burnet. So, but I've never seen it at the farmer's market, or certainly walking around. Maybe we don't have chalky enough soil here in the Northeast. I'll have to investigate that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, it's whole, kind of going back to what Culpeper was saying, and that sort of bitter sort of aspect, it medicinally, it's a curious one because we don't use it now. It's not it's not what we would classify as sort of as a modern day medicinal plant. Doesn't mean it doesn't have any worth. It just means it's fallen off the radar, as a lot of things do. More exciting things, come onto the map. But it's always, when you look back to Culpeper and a lot of the old herbals, it's always had a use in digestive health as a digestive tonic. And it's another one of these carminative herbs. So not calming, but that's dispelling the wind. So
well, there's a lot of stuff about wind in Shakespeare. I learned a lot about that kind of thing, and it seems very I don't know, kind of young boy jokes and stuff, but it's all through not only Shakespeare, but the other playwrights of the time make all these puns about carminatives and carminists, which are writers because of the ink, what they make the ink out of. And so you have puns on both of those. And it made me think that the playwrights were accusing other playwrights of kind of being full of hot air or full of wind or whatever when they were expelling their great works and stuff. So yeah, so there's a lot of jokes about that in 16th century playwriting and stuff, and probably and prose writing as well, actually, in a certain genre, of course, which people put Shakespeare in this very highbrow stuff, but there's some incredibly naughty, lowbrow stuff in there. So anyway, all right, so we'll just go over the line of the week again. The Coulter rusts that should deracinate such savagery. That's just a fun line to say. The even mead that erst brought sweetly forth the freckled cowslip, burnet, and green clover. And on that note, go find some, put it in your salad, put it in your posy, and we'll see you next time.